Thneedville is a city that is plastic and fake, lacking any real trees or nature. As a result, the people have to buy air at exorbitant prices. A 12-year-old boy must embark on a quest to address his city's pressing issue. Hey there, welcome to Recap Nation. Today, we're recapping a 2012 movie called The Lorax. The city of Thneedville is a place surrounded by walls and fences, all under the control of a flamboyant businessman named O'Hare. The entire city is artificial, with everything made of plastic, metal, and synthetic materials, from the lights to the trees, houses, and vehicles. In this city resides a 12-year-old boy named Ted, who has a special connection with a girl named Audrey. One day Ted went to see Audrey. She took him in and shares her colorful drawings of trees with him, but she told him that she longs to see a real one. Ted sees this as an opportunity to win her heart, but he's faced with a perplexing dilemma. How can he find a real tree in a city where everything is fake? That evening, while taking dinner, Ted decides to talk to his mother Wiggins and grandmother Grammy Norma about his predicament. His mother laughs off the idea, but his caring grandmother encourages him to seek out someone known as the Unsler, who can guide him on his quest for knowledge about trees. There's just one catch: no one is allowed to leave town. Despite the risks, Ted resolves to leave the city in search of answers. As he tries to find his way out, security cameras on the city walls capture his every move, and the footage falls into the hands of O'Hare, the man controlling the city. O'Hare becomes furious and launches an investigation to discover what this young boy is up to. Ted finally finds his way out of the city for the first time, and is shocked to see the other side of the city, which is dull and deserted, filled with tree stumps and industrial waste. Despite the desolate surroundings, Ted gathers his courage and drives through the deserted wasteland, eventually crossing a destroyed bridge to reach the place where the Unsler lives. He's spotting an old and unkempt house with an inscription that says the Unsler. As Ted tries to open the door, he triggers a trap that lifts him up. The old Unsler warns him never to come near the door again, but Ted assures him that he means no harm and only wants to learn about real trees. The Unsler decides to give him an audience, and Ted feels relieved. He asks the Unsler about what happened to the trees. The Unsler paused for some moments and began telling Ted the true story. He began by saying that it all started when he wanted to create something called a Thneed. He set out to find the materials he needed to make it, gathering various supplies during his adventure, such as food, a tent, and musical instruments. After traveling for several days, he stumbled upon a beautiful forest, full of colorful trees, happy bears, crystal waters, exotic birds, and fish. Overjoyed, he played his guitar, and the animals joined him in dancing. However, the Unsler began to offload some of his items, causing the animals to be concerned about his actions. But their worry turned to happiness when they tasted the delicious white cheese he had brought along. Excited by the animals' response, he took out his axe and chopped down a tree, unaware that this act would summon a mystical creature called the Lorax. While working on his Thneed that afternoon, the Lorax descended from the sky. The Lorax introduced himself as the guardian of the forest, speaking for the trees and the creatures within. He warned the Unsler to stop chopping down the trees and expressed sadness over the tree that was cut down. At this moment, the Unsler paused the story and asked Ted to come back the next day. Back at home, Ted, consumed with love for Audrey, dreamt of presenting a real tree as her birthday gift. They were about to kiss when suddenly, Grandma interrupted Ted's crucial moment and asked if he succeeded in his mission. Ted explained that he needed to return for the rest of the story, but it seemed hard as his mother, who initially didn't support the mission, had planned a family gathering, and his appointment with the Unsler was fast approaching. During the family time, Ted's mother discovered his plan and tried to stop him, fearing that finding a real tree would harm O'Hare's business. Luckily, Ted's mother got tired and went to her room, giving him an opportunity to escape. As Ted attempted to leave, O'Hare, aware of his quest, tried to stop him by attacking him at the gate and warning him to abandon his adventure. However, Ted managed to find another way out and reach the Unsler. The Unsler continued his tale, describing how the Lorax attempted to float him out of the area on a river, but they accidentally steered towards a nearby waterfall. The Lorax and other animals saved the Unsler by pushing a heavy stone, which ejected them to safety. The Lorax revealed the truth about their desire to float him away since he was chopping down trees, and they all needed the trees. The Unsler promised not to cut any more trees. The following day, the Unsler then took his Thneed to the market to see if people were interested, but unfortunately, no one showed any interest. As days goes by, people ridiculed him each time he presented the Thneed. In frustration, he threw it away, and it accidentally landed on a beautiful girl. People snapped pictures of her with the Thneed, creating a demand for it among the townspeople. They all went into the forest searching for Unsler, willing to pay for more Thneeds. Seeing the demand exceed his supply, the Unsler invited his family to help. In some hours his family arrives, and the Unsler introduce them to the Lorax. However, the Lorax wasn't happy with their arrival and asked them to leave. Fortunately, the Unsler managed to calm him down. In an attempt not to break the promise, the Unsler and his family decide to locally handpick the truffula tips to make the Thneed instead of chopping down the trees. However, as days go by, they discover that the local handpicking is too slow. After his mom complains, the Unsler then orders them to chop down a few trees for ease, but this means that the Unsler has to disrespect the promise he made to the Lorax and the other animals, not to cut down any more trees, and he must now face any consequences that come with breaking that promise. The Lorax attempts to stop them and speaks to the Unsler, but he is stopped by one of the family members, and the Unsler doesn't want to see him either. The woman throws him away. The Unsler becomes strong-headed, focusing only on the profit his business will give him, without giving any concern to the fact that deforestation and industrial waste will harm the ecosystem. He then celebrates his booming business with music and claims he's not a bad guy, just someone pursuing his dream. Eventually, the Lorax manages to confront the Unsler again, but he remains adamant and vows not to stop production. This continues until, during their conversation, they witness the cutting down of the last standing truffula tree. With no trees left, it means that the business has come to an end, and the Unsler's family packs up and leaves. They see that success is no longer on their side because they were there for the money alone, and now that it's gone, they have to go. Moreover, the environment has been polluted by industrial waste, leading to dying fish and birds losing their habitat. The barbaloots, swimmy swans, and hummingfish decide to leave as well because their home has been destroyed. The Lorax is the last one to leave, flying away into the sky, leaving only the Unsler in the wasteland he created. When the Unsler finally completes the story to Ted, they sit among piles of stone which the Lorax left behind, upon which is written one word: unless. The Unsler finally understands the meaning of the word and tells Ted that unless people care a lot about trees, nothing is going to get better. The Unsler reaches out and brings out a seed and drops it down to Ted, telling him it's the last seed left, and he should plant it. Ted promises Unsler never to let him down. Ted now returns back to Thneedville with the seed, but O'Hare's camera detects the seed and reports to the head office. Upon seeing the seed, O'Hare decides to hunt for Ted with all efforts in order to destroy the seed. Luckily, Ted makes it home, yet O'Hare still follows him for the seed. While Ted is inside his room, thinking about how to plant it, his mother calls him out urgently, so he leaves the seed on the table. As he is going, the water bottle falls over the seed, releasing some water on it. When Ted finally gets to his mother, he realizes that it's O'Hare who actually called for the emergency, while his mom went to get some cookies for them. O'Hare asks the boy to hand over the seed, but Ted refuses to give it out. O'Hare orders his men to search Ted's room, but they couldn't find any. With all the struggles and noise, Ted's mother returns and asks O'Hare and his men to leave the house, which they do. Ted then quickly gets back to find the seeds, but luckily for him, Grandma has already hidden it and it is already growing. At this moment, Audrey comes to the door. Ted opens it and tells her everything. She is so excited, and she and grandmother give their support to protect the seed and to plant it at the city center. Ted's mother takes her car and heads to the city center. Immediately, O'Hare's watchmen chase after her, hitting and crashing any vehicle on their way just to get Ted or the seed. When Ted's mother can no longer move an inch on the destroyed bridge, it turns out that O'Hare's men realize that they have wasted their time chasing a dummy, and that Ted and the seed must be somewhere else. They chase after Ted, Audrey, and grandmother, and as they are about to plant the seed, O'Hare shoots at the oxygen fan. The fan blows the seed from their hand, down till it falls inside an oxygen container and continues to roll down the street. O'Hare and his men are luckily able to get the container with the seed inside, but his hand gets stuck in it. As one of his men was helping him get his hand out, Ted, who was coming against them, drifted on his bike but missed the target. Nevertheless, the sharp and active grandma used her stick to take it back for themselves. When they finally reached the city center, Grandma took an excavator and broke O'Hare's statue's head to find a ground to plant the seed, which drew the attention of the crowd. Finally, O'Hare confronted Ted, Audrey, and grandmother in the city center and tried to convince the townspeople that they are better off without a tree, tagging it as unclean and an intrusion on their perfect world. Upon hearing this, the people went against them in an attempt to destroy the seed. However, Ted, Audrey, and grandmother climbed aboard an earth mover and knocked down part of the city wall, revealing the ruined wasteland outside. Ted went on the car and explained the reality to them. Upon seeing and hearing the truth, the townspeople collectively gave their support, but O'Hare insisted that they kill the seed. However, the people, knowing the truth, did not support him. Instead, they aimed a rocket at his head and flew him away from the crowd and out of the town. Finally, the seed was successfully planted in the center of the city. As time passed, the Unsler came out of hiding, and a lot of truffula trees appeared across the wasteland. Nature was regaining its glory and beauty. Ted won the love of Audrey, and O'Hare's cooperation lost their deceptive business. The swimmy swans flew by, but there was only one thing that would make Unsler's joy complete, and that was to see his old-time friend, the Lorax, the guardian of the forest. One day, as the Unsler watered the trees, his old-time friend Lorax descended from the sky in the same manner he left, and everyone was happy once again. What did you think of this video? Comment below, and make sure you subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.